Hello everyone and welcome to SimpliCode's YouTube channel. Kaushal this side and I hope you guys are doing well. Today we are going to work on a jQuery project. Now that we have enough knowledge about the working and usage of jQuery, the time has come when we'll actually implement jQuery for several tasks. In this video, we'll be working on a project wherein we'll create a fully functional calculator app from scratch. So before we begin, make sure that you have subscribed to our YouTube channel and press that bell icon to never miss any updates on programming videos. So without any further delay, let's get started. The calculator app is a simple program to work on. We have done such a task using pure JavaScript in the past, and we already have an idea about how this thing works. The task is simple. We have to create an app where we can perform several arithmetical operations without a problem. So we'll divide this program into three different parts. In the first part, we'll create the structure of this calculator app using HTML. Then we'll style this app using CSS. And then finally, we'll add functionality using jQuery this time. As simple as that. Let's start with the programming part directly. We'll start with HTML by creating the structure of our app. So we have several buttons in our calculator app, as we know. We have numbers, we have operations, we have many more other buttons in a calculator app. So let's add them here now. What we'll do is we'll write here inside the body tag. So for now, let's remove this calculator using jQuery heading. Now we'll use div tag over here. So we'll write here div. So we are going to use a class. So let's say the class name is calculator. Fine. Now inside this div tag, we have to create a calculator, right? So for that, the first thing we are going to do is we are going to write here a paragraph. So we'll write here inside this paragraph jQuery calculator. So this is going to be the heading of our calculator, or we can use any image here as well if you want to put any logo of your own in your calculator. So you can do that. Now the next thing we are going to do here is we are going to take another div. Now inside this, we are going to write the program for the display area of our calculator. So what we'll do right here is we'll write here class, and let's say we are writing here class row. Fine. So this is our class name. Now inside this div, we'll write div. Class is going to be, let's say, screen, and then we'll write here numbers. So let's say we are writing here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Fine. Now we are done with this. Save this, and here you can see we have one heading over here which says jQuery calculator, and we have 10 different digits, right? Now the next task we are going to do here is we are going to create the area for a buttons. So we are again going to take a div tag for that. We are going to write here div. Class is going to be the same. So let's say the class is going to be cal row. Fine. So we'll change the name here as well. We'll write here calc row. And now after this div tag, we have to use several div tags inside one div tag, right? So we'll write here div. Class is going to be, let's say, button. And then we have our first button as, let's say, C. Fine. We have to do this again. We have to add so many buttons. So we'll write here div. Then class is going to be button again for this button as well. And the button name is going to be this. Fine. The next thing we are going to do here is we are going to write here div. Class name is going to be button again. And we are going to write here. So let's change this class. We are going to put a backspace as well. So we'll write here backspace. Button backspace basically. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to write the name of our button over here. So let's say the name of our button is back for backspace. Now the next thing we'll do here is we'll use one more class. We'll use one more div tag. So this time we are going to use this one for plus minus. So we'll see the functionality of these buttons later on. For now, just focus on the structure of this calculator. So we are going to write here div, and class is going to be button plus minus. Fine. Then we'll make a symbol for plus and minus. So we'll write here plus and minus. Fine. We have closed this div tag and the another div tag is also closed. Fine. Let me zoom this out. Let me zoom Visual Studio Code a bit so that it will be easy for you guys to understand for now. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to add another button over here. So first for that we have to write here div. So let's say we have a button over here as %. Fine. So we'll write here class is going to be button and the name of this button is going to be %. Fine. So let me break it down a bit so that it will be easy for you guys to understand. So here's the code. We have these three div tags inside the single div tag. This is because what we are doing here is we are adding a buttons over here. So this is the first row wherein we'll have 4 different buttons, or we can say 5 different buttons. We have a C button, then we have CE, back, plus minus, and a percentage button. Fine. Now what we'll do is we'll copy this whole piece of code from here. We'll do the same for all the rows. Fine. So we'll paste it here. Now we have to change the button names. So instead of C, what we'll do here in the second row, we'll write here 7. Then we have 8 after CE. So we'll write here 8. Then instead of backspace, we'll write here 9. And we'll change the class name to button only. Fine. We'll change this as well. Instead of plus minus, we'll write here divide. So we have a divide symbol over here, and the next thing we are going to do is we are going to write here square root in place of remainder. So for now we'll write here sqrt. So I hope you guys understood this. Now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to copy this from here and we are going to paste it again here. Fine. So let's change the name of this class as well. So let's say the name of this class is button device for division. So we'll do the same thing for all the arithmetical operators. So the next row is going to contain 5. Then we have 6. Okay, we have to start this row from 4. Then we have 5. Then we have 6. And the two arithmetic operators are going to be multiply and 1 by x. Fine, so we'll write here asterisk. And instead of this we'll write here 1 by x. Fine. So we'll change this class to button inverse so that it will be easy for you guys to identify all these buttons. That's why we are doing it. And instead of asterisk we'll write here button multiply. Fine. So this is going to be the class name for multiplication. I hope you guys got this. Now we have to include 2 more rows. Fine. The next row is going to contain, so first we'll copy it from here, we'll paste it here, and the next row is going to contain 1, 2, 3. Then we have 2 operators, so the 2 operators are going to be pi and let's say minus. Okay, so we have to write here minus and we have to change the class to button minus and we have to write here pi. Fine. So we'll change this class to button pi. And we are done with 4 rows. Now we have to include 1 more row. So this row is going to contain only 4 buttons. So we'll paste it here. We have to remove. So we have to insert 0 first. So let's say the class for 0 is button 0. And the class for decimal is going to be button decimal. So the next thing we have to include here is decimal. We'll write here button decimal. And the third one is going to be plus and equals to. Fine. So we don't need this div tag here. We'll remove it from here and we'll write here plus. So we'll write here button P for plus. And okay, so what we can do is we can write here button add for plus, and the last one is going to be equals to. So we'll write here button equal. Fine. So we are done with the HTML part. We are done with the structure basically. Let me reduce the size of VS Code. Now save this program and you can see we have all the buttons over here. We have C, CE, back and so on. So you can see we have all the numbers, we have all the symbols, and we have some other symbols as well. We have pi over here, we have 1 by x, we have square root and a lot more things, right? Now what we have to do is we have to style these buttons. So for styling, let's move on to the CSS file now and we'll start styling our calculator there only. So here we are in the CSS file. Let's start styling. What we'll do is we'll start with the whole body tag first. What we'll do is we'll write here body, and the body color is going to be something different, or we can say something other than white, right? So we'll write here background color. Now we'll put some RGB values. We have some predefined RGB values with us, so we'll use them for now. You guys can use any color of your choice. So we'll write here 236, 232, 175. Fine. So this is the RGB value for this particular color. Now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to write here margin top. Margin top is going to be 150 pixels in order to bring the calculator at the center of the browser. Fine. Save the program and you can see the change in the background color. So the next thing we have to do is to add the name of our calculator. For that, what we'll do is we'll style a p tag. So you can see it over here inside the HTML file. We have to style this p tag over here. Fine. So what we'll do is we'll write here after this p. We are going to style the whole tag. We'll write here margin. Margin is going to be 0 for this one. Then we have font family as well. So we'll write here font family. We'll use this one. And the next thing we are going to do is we are going to write here font weight. Font weight is going to be bolder. Then we have position. Position is going to be relative for this. Then we have left. So left is going to be, let's say, 35%. Fine, we want it to be at the center of a calculator app. So that's why we are using 35% over here. Save it now. And you can see we have the jQuery calculator heading present at the center of the screen. So we'll achieve the whole calculator step by step. We don't need to hurry in this. The next thing we have to do is to create the body of this calculator. Now for that, what we have to do is we have to use the calculator class. So if we move back to our HTML file, you can see the class name is calculator for the parent div tag. We are going to use this. Now what we'll do is we'll write here dot calculator. This is how we can access any particular class in CSS or in jQuery as well. Now we are going to write here position. Position is going to be relative. Then we have margin. Margin is going to be 1em auto. Fine. The next thing is going to be padding. Padding is going to be 1em and auto as well. Okay, so instead of auto, what we can do is we can write here 0 for padding. We don't want any automatic padding in a program. So the display is going to be inline block. The width is going to be, let's say, 350 pixels. Fine. For the whole calculator body, the width is going to be 350 pixels. Now the background color is going to be beige. Fine. Border radius we have to mention here. Border radius is going to be 25 pixels. Okay, 25 pixels we have to write here. And the box shadow. Box shadow will also define. We'll write here 5 pixel, 5 pixel, 15 pixel, and then we'll write 3 pixels. So the box shadow is for all the 4 sides of the box. Then we'll mention the color as well. So let's say the shadow color is going to be black. Fine. Now we'll write here font family. Font family is going to be oxygen. So we'll write here oxygen, and that's it. So save the program And you can see we have the whole outer body of our calculator. Now that we are done with the outer body of our calculator, we'll move on and we'll work on the buttons and rows now. So you can see we have the calculator over here. It's not present in between for now. We'll discuss it why it's not working fine. So we have done a mistake over here. Let me check. We have to write here. Let's try block inline. Save it now, and you can see the calculator body is now present at the center of our browser. Fine. So that's why it was not working. Now it's working totally fine. We have the calculator at the center of our browser. Now let's work on the buttons and rows as well. What we'll do is we'll write here dot calcrow. So this is another class name. You can see it over here. We have the class name for screen. Now what we'll do is we'll write here text align at the center. Fine. Save the program. And you can see we have the text aligned at the center. The next thing to work on is the display area. For that we have the class as screen inside the calcrow class. So let's write the code over here for the same. What we'll do is we'll access the screen. So we'll write here dot calcrow. Then we'll write here div dot screen. Fine. Now the font family is going to be Droid Sans Mono, and the display is going to be table. The next thing we are going to write here is the width. So width is going to be 85%. Following it, we'll define the background color as well. So we'll write here background color, and the background color is going to be white. Fine. Not pure white, it's sort of gray, I guess. Now we'll write here text align to the right. We are writing the code for the screen. Fine guys. So we'll write here font size. Font size is going to be 2M. And the min height. So the min height is going to be 1.2M. Then we have margin left. It's going to be 0.5M. Padding right. Fine. Padding right is going to be 0.5M again. The next thing is going to be border. So the border of a screen is going to be of different color. So we'll write here border. And the border is going to be 1 pixel solid and of different colors. So the color code is 888 for this particular color. And then we'll write here color. Color is going to be this one. Fine. Now save the program, and you can see here on the browser that the display area is changed now. You can see it over here. This is the display area of a calculator app. The color is changed and the styling is also changed. So we are done with the display area. Now we'll work on buttons. So let's move on and we'll write the code for buttons. For that we have to write here dot calcrow div. The first property is going to be text align. Text align is going to be at the center. Display is going to be inline block. Font weight is going to be bold. Then we have border. Border is going to be 1 pixel solid and of grayish color. Fine. Then we have the background color. Background color is going to be this off-white color, we can say. Then we have padding. Padding is going to be 10 pixel and 0. Then we have margin. Margin is going to be 7 pixels and 5 pixels. Fine. We have the border radius as well. So we'll write here border radius for the buttons is going to be 15 pixel. Box shadow we have to mention. Box shadow is going to be 2 pixels. 2 pixels, 1 pixel and 1 pixel. The color of box shadow is going to be dark gray. Then we have width. So width is going to be 50 pixel for each button. Save the program and you can see we are almost done with the app now. The calculator looks nice, right? The last thing we have to manage are the buttons present in the last row. We are talking about these 4 buttons over here. So we have to manage them. What we'll do is we'll increase the size of this equals to button. Fine. Then it will look completely nice. So what we'll do here is we'll write here dot calc row. Then we'll write here div dot equal. We'll access the div tag with class as equal. And we'll write here width for this is going to be 112 pixel. Fine. Then we'll again do the same thing. We'll write here calc row div dot equal and the margin left. Fine. So we'll write here margin left and the margin left is going to be 5 pixels. Save the program and you can see the calculator is completely done now. What we did here is we increased the size of a equals to button and we are good to go now, right? Now that we are done with the structure and styling of a calculator app, the last remaining part here is the functionality of a calculator. We'll use jQuery for adding functionality to our calculator. So let's move on to the JavaScript file and we'll write the code there for adding functionality. So here we are in the JavaScript file. We'll start writing our code. The first thing we are going to do is we are going to write here dollar. We are going to write here document dot ready. Then we'll write inside it function. And now we are good to write a code. So firstly we'll take some variables. So we'll write here var result. This will hold the result. This variable is going to be 0 initially. Then we have var previous entry. So we'll write here var prev entry. This is again going to be 0. We are initializing these variables with some values. The next variable is going to be operation. The value is going to be null at the start. Then we have var current entry. So this is going to be a string. We'll write here 0. And finally we'll write here update screen. This is going to be a function. So we'll write here result. That's it. So these are all the variables and functions we are going to use in a JavaScript part, or we can say the jQuery part. Now we have to add some events. For that we'll write here dollar. Then we'll access the class. So we'll write here dot button. Then we'll write here on click. So this is the event name. We'll write here click. On clicking, what we want is we want to call a function. Fine. So we'll write here function, and this function is going to have a parameter with it. Fine. So this is it. Inside this function, what we'll do is we'll check if the button is pressed or not. So we'll write here var button pressed is equals to, we'll access the HTML document. We'll write here this dot HTML. Fine. Now what we'll do is we'll write here console dot log, and inside this we'll write button pressed. Fine. So what we basically did here is we wrote the code to check if the button is pressed or not. So if the button is pressed, the value will be displayed on console. So let's check it out. We'll zoom our Chrome browser. We'll go to console and we'll try to press a button. You can see the button is pressed. So it's working totally fine for now. What we'll do is we'll close the console and we'll write the code again. Now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to write code for all the buttons. Fine. What we'll do is we'll write here if button pressed is going to be C. So this is our first button. We are going to write the code for this one. So then what will happen is the result is going to be 0. Fine. Then we'll change the value for current entry as well. We'll write here current entry, and the value of current entry is going to be 0 again. Fine. Now the next thing we are going to do here is we are going to write the code for other buttons as well. So we'll write here else if button pressed is going to be CE, then what will happen is the current entry is going to be 0 again. Fine. Then we'll write the code for back, plus minus, then we have decimal, and we have many more buttons, right? So let's do it as well. We'll write here else if the next button is back. We'll write here button pressed is triple equals to back. Then we'll write here inside this current entry is equals to current entry dot substring, and we'll define the substring inside here. We'll write here 0, comma current entry dot length -1. So we are going to decrease the length of our current entry by 1 on pressing the back button. So it's basically the backspace key. Now we are done with it. Now the next thing we have to write here is for plus minus. So we'll write here else if button pressed is going to be plus minus, then what we'll do is we'll multiply the current entry by -1. Fine. So if the user has a value -3 on a calculator screen, and if he presses plus minus, so what will happen is -3 will be multiplied with -1 and the value is going to be 3 only. Fine. So what we'll do is we'll write here current entry is equals to -1. Fine. So we are going to multiply this value by -1. Then we have else if button pressed is going to be decimal. So what we'll do is we'll add a decimal in current entry. So what we'll write here is we'll write here current entry plus is equals to decimal. Fine. Then we have is number. So if we write here else if is number, and we have button pressed inside it. Fine. Now what will happen is we have to use if here again. We'll write here if current entry triple equals to 0, current entry is equals to button pressed. So we'll write here current entry is equals to button pressed. Fine. Now we have to write here else part as well. So we'll write here else current entry is equals to current entry plus button pressed. Fine. So we are done with it. Now the next thing we have to write here is the else if part. So we have to write the code for plus, minus, multiplication and division as well, right? So for that, what we'll do is we'll write here is operator. So we'll write the code for all of them later on. So for now we'll write here is operator button pressed. We have to write here prev entry is equals to parse float. We have to make this value in decimal. So we'll write here parse float current entry. Fine. Then we have operation. So we'll update the value of operation to button pressed. And we'll write here current entry is equals to. Now we have to write the code for modulus, we have to write the code for square root, we have to write the code for 1 by x, and we have to write the code for pi. So we are talking about this particular row, or we can say this particular column, where we have modulus, square root, 1 by x and pi. So what we are going to do here is we are going to write here else if button pressed is equals to modulus. So what we have to do is we have to write here current entry. Current entry, we have to divide the current entry by 100. So we'll write here current entry is equals to current entry by 100. Fine. Then we have else if the user presses square root, button pressed is equals to square root. What we have to do is we have to write here current entry is equals to, we have to use math.sqrt. This is a predefined library, so we have to pass current entry inside this. So we'll write here current entry inside this particular library. Now the next thing we have to write here is the code for else if button pressed is going to be 1 by x. So we have to write here 1 by x. Then the change is going to be in current entry. So we'll write here current entry is equals to 1 divided by current entry. Fine. Now we are left with pi and is equals to only. So we'll write here for pi first. We'll write here else if button pressed is going to be pi. What we have to do is we have to write here current entry is equals to math.pi. Fine. Now we have to write here else if button pressed is going to be is equals to we have to write here current entry. We have to update current entry every time only. So we'll write here operate and we'll pass prev entry, then we'll pass current entry and operation. Fine. Then after this, operation is going to be null. So we'll write here operation is going to be null. Fine. Now what we'll do is we'll write here update screen. Update screen is going to be, the screen is going to be updated with current entry basically. So we'll write here update screen and current entry. Fine. So let's check it out if this thing is working or not. Save the program, move to the browser, and you can see it's still saying update screen is not defined. Fine. Let me check if there's any mistake in our program. So what we have to do is we have to remove this bracket from here and we have to paste them here at the end because we want this program to be present inside these brackets. Save it now and let's see if it's working or not. So you can see it's still not working. Let's do one thing. The update screen is not defined yet, so we'll comment this update screen for now and we'll see if this thing works now or not. So you can see it's working for all the numbers, but it says is number is not defined yet, so we'll define it now. So let's move ahead and we'll uncomment these two things. We'll uncomment update screen now. So the next thing we have to do is we have to write the code for update screen first. So let's do it. We'll write here update screen So update screen is going to be a function, so we'll write here function. Function will take a parameter, we'll write here display value. Fine. So then we'll write here where display value is equals to display value dot toString. We are going to display the value in string form, so we'll write here toString, we'll convert it, and then we'll access screen. So we'll write here dollar, then we have the screen class as screen, then we'll write here dot html, we'll write here display value dot substring. Fine. So we'll write here 0 to 10. That's it. Let's see, we have defined update screen as well now. Save it and we'll move to browser. We'll open a console. So it says display value to is not a function. So we have made a spelling mistake somewhere. Here it is. I'll write here display value everywhere. Fine. Save it now. Move to the browser. Okay, so it's saying display value is not a function as of now. We'll check it later if this thing works or not. So what we are going to do now is we are going to write further code. So we'll write the code for is number first. We'll write here is number. We'll check if the entry provided is number or not. So we'll write here function. Function is going to bring a value. Then we have return. Will return is not a number. Fine. We'll write here value. Then we'll check for operator as well. So we'll write here is operator. We'll write function, and then we have the value of this function. We'll return here something. So we'll write here return value is equals to, the first value is going to be divide, or we'll write here value triple is equals to asterisk for multiplication, or value is going to be addition, or it can be subtraction. Fine. So we'll write here value minus. Fine. Now we have to write a function, so we'll use the operate function. So we'll write here operate function, and it will have 3 parameters a, b, and operation. Fine. Now we have to write here a. So a is going to be parse float. So we are going to change the value of a to parse float. Then we have b. We'll do the same thing for b as well. We'll write here parse float. We'll write here b. Then we'll write here console dot log a comma b comma operation. So this thing is to check. We'll write here if operation is going to be plus, then it will return a plus b. Fine. Same thing for all the operators. So we'll copy it from here, we'll paste it 4 times. We'll change the values over here. We'll write here plus, minus, multiplication, and division. Fine. We'll change the symbols here as well. We'll write here division, multiplication, subtraction, and addition. So we are done with it. Let's check it out if this thing is working or not. So it says it's not working for now. Let me check if there's any error or some sort of thing. Okay, so we have done here wrong is we have written here toString with a small s. Save it now and check if it's working. Okay, it's working totally fine now. You can see we have a answers over here, so you can see everything is working. So this is how it actually works. So the error was with two string. Actually, we have written here two string with a small s. So we have to replace it with capital S. Save it now, and you can see the calculator is working totally fine. Let's try to do some calculations over here first. We'll increase the size of a browser. Now let's say we are adding some numbers. So let's say we have 41. We are adding 9 in it. So we have the answer as 50. Let's see if other buttons are working or not. So we'll write here 45. We'll click on plus minus, and you can see the value of plus minus is minus 45. Click on it again. You can see the value is changed to 45 again. So the CE button is also working fine. We'll take a random number. So let's say the number is 400. We'll click on SQRT. You can see we have the square root of 400, which is 20. Now if we click on pi, we have the value as 3.1415, which is the actual value of pi. Then we have modulus. So let's say we are writing here 4000. We'll click on modulus, and you can see it is 40. So this is also working fine. Now we'll write here 523, and then we'll click on 1 by x. So you can see it gives us the value of 1 by 523, or 1 by any number we are providing it basically. So let's say we are writing here 10, and we'll click on 1 by x. You can see the value is 0.1 because it is dividing 1 by 10. So I hope you guys must have got an idea about how we can create a calculator app using HTML, CSS and jQuery. It's easy to create a calculator using jQuery than to use JavaScript for creating a calculator, right? Now the task for you guys is to show some creativity with what we have done till now. Let us know in the comments what exciting thing you did. So that's all for this video, guys. See you in the next one, where we'll go through another project in jQuery. We'll be creating a to-do list using jQuery there. So if you liked this video, do give it a thumbs up. If you have any doubts, do let us know in the comments below. Share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe SimpliCode. Thank you.